Hello, I'm Jo, and welcome to the Midlife Entrepreneur Podcast, a new show that's all about building a business in midlife. So we're now at the end of season 2, and because I'm a coach, I like to reflect on everything that I've learned and really think about what's sunk in for me. And there is one word that really comes up when I think about all the conversations that I've had and all the businesses that I've listened to people talk about, and the word is flexibility. Now, we all know that we need to be flexible and adaptable in this very fast changing world, no more so than now. And as a transformation coach, I'm often working with people through another chapter of their career. And this often requires enormous amounts of adaptability and flexibility. But when you start a business in midlife, and let's say you've been doing something for 15, 20 years, and then you start a business, you're going to have to learn a load of new skills. And that flexibility, that adaptability is something that we really need to engage with and lean into, because change is really difficult. Most human beings really like stability. We like certainty, we like stability, we like to know what's happening from day to day. If you become an entrepreneur, you're going to have to learn to adapt. And one of the things that I've really recognized in the 8 conversations I've had this season is that there is so much that the word flexibility offers. So whether it be Clare, the founder of Mini Mozart, who talked about how she wants to provide a flexible work environment for her musicians, and this gives them agency and allows them to do all the things that are important to them and makes them better at their job for her business. Now, she did recognize that as she grows and the business gets larger, it's actually really hard to be quite so flexible because she needs some certainty for her business. But having that flexibility really makes her musicians happy and her staff in the office happy, and that makes for a really great culture. So I thought that was really interesting and resonated quite a lot. Equally, Florence, who set up Bellevue Law, she talked about the fact that she started this business because she couldn't get back into corporate law after she'd had her children. The feedback she was getting was that her commitment levels were potentially lower because she had children, and therefore they were concerned that she wasn't able to commit in a way that a man would. And that obviously drove her to set up this incredible business. And what she offers her lawyers is this flexibility, which means that they can juggle the other things in their lives. And the thing about women is that we often have more than just our job going on. If we've got children, we want to be present for the children when we can. If we've got aging parents, we're often the ones who will have to adapt and look after them as well. So I think this word flexibility, whether it comes to employment or it comes to adapting your skills or it comes to changing the shape and direction of your business, and that was something that Priya from Nudea talked about in the fact that she launched an underwear company, but has quickly realized that it was actually her loungewear and her nightwear that was doing really well and selling really brilliantly for her. And it was something that she could have when it came to Christmas and she wanted to offer gifts. And so she was able to adapt and be quite flexible, recognizing that what the market was asking for was something more than she had realized. And that adaptability has meant that she's been able to survive the ebbs and flows of business, which I thought was really interesting. Another form of flexibility to me is also mindset. As a coach, I work with people all the time around mindset, about how can we find the mindset to do what we want to do or to achieve our goals. And Ginny Chadwick-Healy, who is the founder of The Fairground, said something really poignant at the end of our conversation, which was, she said to me, "Jo, I'm not afraid to fail, you know." And I thought that mindset, although for most of us, the idea of a business failing is something that we wouldn't want to have to consider. But the fact that she's not afraid to fail means that she is also really flexible and open to trying things. And that will serve her really well in the long run. The more we're able to adapt and flex and change and pivot, the more we're able to manage our business in a way that is going to respond to whatever's happening in the market. And we all know that the market at the moment is really uncertain. We've got a very difficult economic climate. Politically, we've got a lot of instability around the world that's affecting business. And we know that business is really tough this year. Anybody who's running a business in 2025 will tell you that it's been a tough year. There is a low level of commitment everywhere. I've certainly seen it in my business. People are nervous. They don't know what's going to happen. We've got a lot of moving parts, and business doesn't like moving parts. But I think this word flexibility is something that we're going to have to weave in to whatever we do. So if you're somebody who's considering starting a business, but you find change difficult, or you find it difficult to adapt, then you might need to think again, or you might need to try and hone that skill a bit more. Certainly if we're thinking about AI, it's with us, it's happening. It's really exciting on many levels and it's terrifying on others, but it means that we're all going to have to learn to adapt to this new world. When I spoke to Julia Collins, she started her business at the age of 62. I found her really inspiring because she had wanted to be a mom and present for her kids for sort of 25 years. And as they left for their own lives and to go to university, she suddenly felt that she needed to try something for herself, do something so she's not twiddling her thumbs, spending her whole time thinking about her children or worrying about her children as we do as mums. And so she started her vintage art company and had to learn how to use marketing tools like Instagram, which she'd never done before. And so her version of flexibility was just that. It was like, she said to me the first time she put up a post, it took her all day to do it and she was absolutely terrified. But over time, she's adapted and most of her business is done via Instagram. She has 65,000 followers. And so her ability to flex and adapt has really served her well in the growth of her business. And now she has a business that she loves and that's thriving, and that is giving her everything that she wanted from a business at her age. Equally, Lucy Yeomans, she's a tech entrepreneur and she's the founder of Drest. And I spoke to her. She was the first person I spoke to in this new series. Lucy had come from a publishing background. I'd worked with her back in my Harper's Bazaar days. Really inspiring journalist and businesswoman. And she founded Drest, which is a gaming app in the fashion space, something that hasn't really been done before. And so she has to be unbelievably flexible and adaptable, particularly if you're working in the tech space, which, as we know, is changing by the second. And she came full circle. They launched the business, and they had to reshape it and restructure it and start again halfway through. Now, having to do that takes an enormous amount of courage and patience and determination. And so that's something that really resonated for me as well, is that we are all going to, if we're in business, at some point come up against a brick wall. Something's not going to work out and we need to work around it. We need to be flexible enough to be able to say, okay, this bit's working, this bit absolutely isn't working, and I need to change things. And that change is going to be uncomfortable, and that's okay. And I'm going to try my best to make it work, and somehow it'll work out. Sometimes it doesn't work out. And back to Ginny's point, we have to be unafraid to fail. Now, failure is a really hard thing for most of us. We're not brought up to fail. We're brought up to succeed. We only get rewarded and praised when we succeed. But this idea of failure is really powerful. In coaching, I try strategies with my clients all the time. And I always say, look, it might work, it might not. We'll come back, we'll talk about it next week. If it worked, then great, let's do more of. If it doesn't work, we need to adapt, try something else and see what works then. It's all about trial and error. So as I leave you with this end of series ramble, can I just say, because I don't use any notes and it all comes from the things that have resonated for me, I'm going to leave you the word flexibility and think about what flexibility means to you. Are you flexible in the way that you work? Are you curious and open to other ideas as a leader? Are you someone who resists change at all costs? Or are you somebody who, for example, is leaning into AI and saying, okay, there's this thing happening. It's not just for the kids. It's for all of us. It could really benefit all of us. And yes, it's scary. It's definitely scary. But it's much more scary being on the outside of knowledge than it is being on the inside of it. And take that word flexibility with you into your week. See how it resonates for you. For me, what does it mean? It means I have to challenge myself. It means I have to look in the mirror and say, is what I'm doing working, or is there another way of doing it? Could I look at it in a different way? Could I ask somebody? Could I be open to some feedback? Would I have the courage to sit with somebody, show them what I'm doing, and listen to their response, and then make those changes? Is that going to feel okay, or is that going to be really hard for me? It's okay if it's hard. Could I do it? Am I open to that? I am learning more than I can possibly imagine from all these conversations that I'm having, and I really hope you are too. I'll be really interested to hear from anybody and to hear your feedback for the show. If you really enjoy the show, then please follow and share it with friends. The more people that follow the show, the more exposure the show gets, and then more guests come my way. Now the show's been running for about 7 months. People contact me all the time with either proposing their bosses or writing into me themselves and asking if they could share their story. And I love that about this show. So it's been a great season. Thank you so much for listening. Do get in touch with any comments, thoughts. If there are any requests, what would you like to hear more of? I'm really open to all feedback. And I can't wait to come back with season 3, which will be in a couple of weeks' time. Until then, take care. Thanks so much for tuning into the show. And if you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to click follow on your favourite podcast platform and leave a review. It really helps us reach more listeners just like you. Finally, if you're a midlife entrepreneur with an interesting story to share or would like to nominate a guest, you can do so via my email. It's inquiries@joglynnsmith.com. All information will be in the show notes. See you next time.